Hello Socios, new year, new big interview, just for you. This month it's Roberto di Matteo, with whom I spent an entertaining couple of hours in London last month. Robbie came to the table ready to talk, and he brought insight, analysis, great stories, and plenty of laughs. You'll hear him reflect on the glory era of Serie A, where he was a big part of a swashbuckling Lazio side who scored goals for fun and should really have won the trophies to back up their talent. Robbie is brilliant on his time at Chelsea under Ruud Gullit. At Stamford Bridge, he added goals to his game and medals to his collection. There were famous goals, not least in the FA Cup final against Middelsbrough, and so-called sexy football under the extremely charismatic Gullit. The final section is given over to Roberto's coaching career, not least leading Chelsea to Champions League glory against Bayern Munich in 2012. He shed a tear. He laughed uproariously, told anecdotes that he's never shared before, including one about walking out on Chelsea. And all of this was recorded just before fate set up another Barca-Chelsea in the Champions League last 16 next month. You'll love Robbie's memory of the last time those clubs clashed. I guarantee you'll enjoy listening to this as much as I did recording it. Have fun. I want to start this interview with Roberto Di Matteo with a question that's puzzled me since the first time I saw you. I watched you play in the Olympic Stadium by fluke. I didn't come 23 years ago to plan this interview, but I thought, wow, look at Lazio go. They're playing sensationally. And it happened that the weekend I chose the home game was against Fiorentina, and you won 8-2 against Claudio Ranieri's...
94 that was, yeah.
Was in 94. That made me think even more excitedly about Serie A. It's the first time I saw you play, and therefore I followed your career subsequently. So let me ask you this. Why would a talented midfield player think about walking away at the stage that you joined Chelsea from, was it the golden era of Serie A? When you look at your side, Juve, Milan, Inter, Samp at minimum, plus Parma, all fighting for domestic supremacy, winning European trophies, and you're right at the heart of it. Why would you think about leaving that?
Well, I need to give you a little bit of background why I made that decision, but it was certainly a very good era for the Serie A. The 90s were very, very good for the Serie A. You had a lot of domestic businessmen that were looking to get a bit more exposure, and so they would buy football clubs and then invest heavily into the clubs and buy players around the world.
Cragnotti, for example.
Lazio was taken over by Sergio Cragnotti. I think it was 92. And so it was an upcoming club, ambitious club. He was very ambitious. So I found myself 93 with this club that wanted to be involved in European football, and over the years there was like a 5-year plan probably to win the Serie A. So I joined 93. The manager was Dino Zoff, the legendary Dino Zoff, who was like a father figure to me because he kind of probably saw me as a little boy, young boy coming from Switzerland, into a big city, capital of Italy. So he straight away from the first meeting he put his arm around me and made me feel very welcome and comfortable, and that gave me also the confidence. I was pretty confident myself, but knowing that the manager actually kept an eye out for you, that was a good first step into the club. So then the second season we had Zeman, and that's probably one of those games that you saw. It was a very attacking team, 4-3-3 with the two number 8s overlapping the wing backs and the full backs overlapping the number 8. So it was a full attacking team, very offensive minded. And I was playing as a number 6 in front of the back 4. I was a holding midfield player, and I was basically the third defender because everybody was attacking. So the two centre backs and me, we were basically the ones that were staying behind the balls.
The fullbacks were almost wingers.
Oh yeah, they had to go. Every time we were like in possession of the ball, attacking, the manager demanded that if the winger was cutting inside, either the 8 or the fullback had to overlap to give the width. Yeah. So from a learning perspective, for me as a player, that was an incredibly steep learning curve, from going from a more traditional coach with Zoff 3-5-2 to a very modern offensive-minded coach like Zeman with a 4-3-3 formation, and that really impressed me as well. And we were scoring, goals for fun in those 2 years that I was there with this coach. And
can I help you with your memory, because you finished your final season, not going back to Whiteley, but you're talking about scoring goals for fun. You finished that season by winning the derby 2-0 in the Olympic Stadium against Roma, going to Turin and beating Juventus, the Juventus of Lippi, 3-0. The next game is a 4-1 home win in the Olympic Stadium over Inter. Next up is Samp. You win that 1-0, and then you go and win the last game of the season, I think, to Foggia. But you beat everybody who's big in the league. You beat them by scoring lots of goals. Stuff that at the time, this is what intrigued me. It must have felt for you, albeit still as part of that steep learning curve where the pressure is on you to make every inch of judgment of space and timing and movement and organisation has to be perfect because everybody else has gone to party up front.
Absolutely.
You as a group and you as a player, you must have felt almost indestructible in that run of games under Zeman at the end of that season when you were playing Lazio's greatest football ever at that stage, probably.
Well, it was pretty attractive. Yeah, I mean, everybody was talking about it, and it was. But what we didn't have was we didn't have the strength to be able to play that kind of football over the whole season. Like most teams would have maybe a bad month or 6 weeks, and in those 4 to 6 weeks we would lose points that we just couldn't gain again or catch up on the other teams that then would go on and win the Serie A title. So having experienced all that, we finished, I think the first year we finished 5th, and then we finished 3rd and 2nd, but we were never actually close enough to win. So going back to my background, I grew up in Switzerland with Italian parents, and I went to school, and I have a BA diploma from Switzerland, and so then you move to Italy 3 years, and I thought somehow I've been here 3 years and we've not won a trophy in 3 years, not the Coppa Italia, not the UEFA Cup, not the Serie A title.
You went to a semi-final, I think.
Yeah, we
lost
went.
to Juve.
But we just didn't win a trophy. And I thought, I'm 26. I thought I was stuck somewhere. I needed a new challenge. I needed something new. I needed something new professionally and personally as well, because I like to learn. I'm a person who like to learn. I like to study. So I wanted to challenge myself. I wanted to learn a new language, new culture, going into a different country that I don't know. And so that's the reason why I thought, this is becoming too comfortable for me. I'm a regular in this team, I'm playing for the national team. We're going to have another good season next year, but I'm not sure if we're ever going to be actually competitive enough to challenge for the Serie A title. So I threw myself really from a comfortable position into a new challenge, because I want to learn. I wanted to improve myself, and I wanted to enhance my horizon as well. Not just professionally, but personally as well. So Gullit called me, Ruud, who I knew from before because we played against each other a few times. And obviously the Premier League was founded in '92, and obviously we kind of caught the eye of what the Premier League was doing. Most clubs were building new fantastic football stadiums, and you were reading about players going to England and so on. And when Ruud called me, it was quite an easy decision. I thought, that actually suits me. Again, ambitious club, Chelsea at the time. It was a very ambitious club, and they had just signed Vialli. They were after me, and so I thought, that's the challenge I need. You've
explained the idea of not getting into a comfort zone and why you might avoid that. But you've described Lazio. The Serie A in those days was very demanding, strategically, tactically. I think criticism was very intense.
Still is, yes.
So you were being forged in a very tough atmosphere beyond the Zeman system in Lazio, because if I understand it correctly, as it still is now, the newspapers, the radio, the television would scrutinise every minimal mistake and probably look to criticise long before they praised. Is that fair? And did that impact you while you were there?
No, because you know, we are humans are animals of habit, so you get used to living in that kind of environment, and you learn how to deal with it and how to exercise your profession within that environment. So that wasn't really an issue. Yeah, you know, the papers they can be very critical at times in Italy, especially if things are not going right. But we had quite, good 3 years, to be honest. So yes, we got criticized a few times, but you deal with that. That wasn't really an issue for me or a problem. I was just looking for something new. I found that I was in a bubble that I needed to get out of it.
Yeah.
It wasn't enough for me just to be comfortable there and play in Serie A. And I wanted to challenge. I wanted to challenge for titles, for trophies. I wanted to learn. And that's why I made the decision at really, 26 years of age, those are the best years of your career. And I knew that it could be a risk for my position in the national team as well, but I took that risk on.
But you'd seen somebody do the opposite, somebody very different from you. You'd seen Paul Gascoigne move to Italy, and you played with him for at least
2 years.
2 seasons.
Yeah.
Was he your first exposure to an English football person? Direct exposure? And what did you see in him in terms of the things we don't know? Because now his case is difficult because his personality hasn't been able to deal with things. But at that stage, he was a really genuinely gifted footballer, irrespective of how he treated his gifts. Did you have any connection with him? Did he seem a completely odd beast when you saw him in training and daily work?
I would describe him as being different. I mean, already then you could see that he had some issues, because he wasn't your regular guy. He was very volatile, and so there was no doubt in his football skills and ability. And training with him, he would do certain things in training that it would leave you, with your mouth open.
Genuinely?
Yeah, genuinely. And, he showed glimpse of his talent and quality that he had. But he never really managed to reach the level that, that he could, and that, everybody was expecting from him that we saw when he was here in England. But I didn't look at him and think, oh yeah, this is English football. No, I didn't do that. I didn't know too much about the UK, about London.
Really?
I watched many cup finals even back in Switzerland. It was a big event, the FA Cup final in Switzerland. Yeah, I mean they wouldn't show the games, but the FA Cup final was always live on TV. And what I remember as well is that the perception of England was that it always rains in England. Every time I watched the FA Cup final, it was like a sunny day, or 9 times out of 10, it was like.
That's a good point. I don't remember a rainy FA Cup final. Even
it was like a sunny day, and you'd think, why do they always say that it rains in England? So that I didn't look at Gas and think, he is the example of an English football player, because I knew he was exceptional in everything, in good and bad.
We have a mutual friend who was already in the Chelsea squad when you arrived, and he said from day one you spoke almost perfect English.
That's not true.
Well, he said you spoke better English than he did, he's English.
Who's that?
Scott Minto was playing fullback then.
Yeah.
Likes you very much, appreciates you as a footballer. But he said, genuinely said that Luca was a voracious learner of English, but from children's books, because he was starting from the beginning. And Franco Zola took maybe a little bit more time, but Scott's words were, from day one, Roberto, perfect English.
No,
how?
No, I'm very grateful to Scott for saying that, but it's not true. I self-taught with English books, basically. I bought some English books and self-learned.
In Italy before leaving?
No, when I arrived.
From arrival?
I had studied a business school. I had studied a bit of like general English. But I didn't speak. I couldn't hold a real conversation.
It was enough to impress the dressing room.
Yeah, I don't know, but I couldn't hold a conversation. I was afraid to make a phone call at the beginning as well. Because I couldn't understand whoever was on the other side of the line. So.
And did you have to?
But I learned it very quick because of my German as well.
Yeah.
So I speak German, so I learned English quite quick.
Did you find a correlation? I studied German at school, and
some words, but also phonically, it helps you to study English if you speak German.
And what did you have to do away from the training ground? Was it an era then when Premier League clubs would fix everything for their players, or did you have to phone to get the electricity on, or?
Oh no! There was no such thing. There wasn't a player liaison officer like there is now. We had the club appointed the now famous Gary Staker, who was working for the club, and I was his bilingual, and he helped me out, he helped Viali out, he helped Zola out. So that was a nice gesture by the club to put somebody that he wasn't just working for us, but he was working for the club and helping us out in finding whatever we needed, houses, schools.
But still, some of the responsibility was on you to make phone calls to.
Well, after a while, as I said, I learned the language quite quick, because obviously to communicate, that's the most important aspect, isn't it? To speak the language in the country that you are. So that was certainly one of my things that I wanted to do straight away, and I think I managed to do so.
Who taught you the swear words?
Everybody in that team. That's the first words you learn.
In every football culture.
In every culture, I guess, in every language, the first words you learn is the swear words.
And what did you think of London? What did you think, having had your Swiss perceptions about Cup Final Day must be every day, when you arrive? Like, for example, in this series, we've talked a lot about, the training ground was, Prince Albert hockey training ground. Windy, noisy.
They didn't show me the training ground before I signed. They showed it to me.
This wasn't in the brochure.
No, it was really bad. I mean, Harlington. It's basically a building that belonged, or still belongs to the college, and the club was hiring it. And the funny day was the Wednesday. On the Wednesday, we had to leave the ground. I think by 1 o'clock we had to be out, because the college students were coming in. So we had to be out and gone.
So students come in maybe to play hockey or rugby or...
Yeah. So, and the pitches were not very good, because it wasn't meant... yes, that's... I said...
We won't edit that out. That's for Graham only, not for Roberto.
The pitches were obviously looked after by the college, so they just kept them, normally, not like, they're perfect like now. And it was windy, and it was terrible. And
at least the showers were always hot, right?
Oh yes, they were.
Sometimes cold water, right?
Sometimes there wasn't water. Sometimes that happened as well. There wasn't water. There wasn't any cold. Everything happened there. Everything.
Then was the bright part of Harlington the manager, Ruud Gullit, sitting on, when he injures his leg, sitting on his chair with his leg up because he's injured, and he comes to training. And does this phrase ring a bell? All right, lovely boys, let's have some fun.
Yes.
That was Ruud's, not only his belief, he said it to you every day at training, right? And that must be a strange message to get after the strictness of Italian football, or didn't it seem strange?
Well, it wasn't as regimented as in Italy, because in Italy, obviously, you train, much more physically, much more tactically.
Often twice a day, or sometimes twice a day.
Yeah, I mean, Zeman obviously was a little bit peculiar in that. With him we had twice a week we had a double session. So on a Friday, so we had a double session on a Wednesday and a double session on a Friday. But normally you always have one double session and every day training. And it was very regimented. But I knew that Ruud, obviously, he played in Italy for many, many years, so he certainly knew what was required. And he was one of the main reasons why I obviously signed for Chelsea. Him, and also the club that really showed that they wanted me, because obviously it was a club record fee at the time that they paid.
It was
to sign me.
It was a huge fee at the time.
Yeah, it was, and also then when I met Ken Bates and Susanna Bates, and it felt really good. It felt really like a family, and it was right. I felt it was right for me. So there you come, Ruud, lovely boys. Come on.
Did lovely boys make any sense to you at the time?
It was just something he used to say. It was just I don't know, something that he liked to say. I mean, he still says it today. When he calls me,
it's taken from
lovely
a sitcom.
Boy, how are you today, lovely boy?
It's from It Ain't Half Hot Mama, a sort of crazy, sort of crummy British sitcom with Windsor Davis saying, "Lovely boy, shoulders back, lovely boy." And where did Ruud get it from?
I don't know where he got it from, but he was obviously laid back and Mr. Cool, and but his philosophy of football was very good. I think we all enjoyed the fact that he brought a little bit of that Dutch philosophy. Put the ball on the ground, passing out from the back. It was kind of innovative for England. That style of football, and I think it was recognised that we were playing some good football.
Quite often you were 3-5-2?
No, we played 4-4-2 or 4. We didn't play with 3 at the back many times.
No.
It was 4-4-2 or 4-3-3.
And you would be asked, because either Eddie or Dennis could do more of your role at Lazio, and you were given much more creative attacking responsibility.
Yeah, Ruud Gullit changed that really. He just thought that maybe I could exploit my offensive side of my game a little bit more, and so he gave me the freedom to go forward more often, and he changed that a little bit me, because I wasn't a player like that up to when I signed for Chelsea. So it paid off for the team. I think in the first season I scored, I don't know, something like
7 in the league at least.
7 in the league.
7 in the league.
9 or 10 goals in total. So it paid off. I mean, he saw something that maybe other managers didn't see.
Then you're an organised, intelligent learner and a confident man. But I want to ask you a question related to Xavi, who presumably you like Xavi's football. I'm guessing.
Oh yes.
But when Xavi begins, he is the same position as you at Lazio. You called it holding, but I like to think of what he did, what Pep does, what you did, is more about maybe even organising or a conductor. Rather, we say holding here in Britain, and it's a rubbish word. It doesn't mean anything.
In Italy, we say you are the geometer, the architect, the one that gives the tempo to the team.
So let's say architect and holding. Okay. I like architect because it implies...
You're the one that gives the tempo to the team. You're the one that organises the team, that holds the team together, because obviously you're in the middle of it. So, if the fullback goes forward, you move a little bit to the right to cover the area. You stay behind the ball so you can always receive the ball. You have to switch the game if you see that there's space in there. And you have to also command from behind. If you see that there's a possibility to press high, you go and shout and you command from behind. So I put maybe a bit simplistic that a holding player, but it's a very important role.
It's not your use of the word. I'm being critical of it. It's here. We lack the imagination to recognise what that role is. At minimum, it's organising, and the architect is good because you build the foundations and then you build the stories upwards towards the top of the building.
For example, in Italy, with Sacchi in the national, with Zeman as well, they told me that in that position, if you have more than 2 touches, I said, the whole house crumbles. He said, you need to have 2 touches, and for you to have 2 touches, you need to be able to receive the ball with the right body position, and you have already seen the picture where you want to go and what you want to do. So that was, daily training. That was for the midfield player was, open up your body, receive the ball. The first touch has to be perfect,
yes,
so that you can play the second ball. With the second touch, you can play either short pass, a long pass, or you shoot, or whatever it is.
The right pass.
Or the right pass. And that's something that, really impressed me, and I teach also, or I coach my players when I'm coaching, that, in midfield, in the central position, you need to kind of play 2 touches, to give the tempo.
But the vision then is It's a big picture you're holding in your head, while you don't even concentrate on your body shape or your touch, because that should be natural.
You see who is very good in that? It was Frank Lampard at Chelsea. He was always, before he received the ball, he was always check over his shoulder, right or left. And he already knew what he was going to do. First touch, he already knew, because he already saw what he wanted to do.
But given that you're...
Paul Scholes was a bit like that.
Another?
And
Guardiola?
Xavi, Guardiola, Iniesta, I mean, those guys are...
But you know, it's your interview, disagree with me if I'm wrong, but even though you could do it and make it look easy, you're holding a lot of information in your head, because it's about where's the ball coming from whom is it coming. That guy that's passing to me, will he pass it right? Will I have to compensate from my teammate? Where is my next teammate? Is the pressure on such that I have to turn or give it? Where are the opponents? How much is the space between me and them?
Oh, absolutely.
What do I want? I think that's a lot of information.
You know, that comes, you know, with coaching over the years, you know, from youth level already. You know, it comes from youth level. You know, recognizing the space, have awareness of the space. How much time do you have? You know, how close is the opposition? Where do you have to position yourself to receive the ball, and so on. And that's something that you are gaining over the years, and it comes at some point. It comes naturally to you. You know, it's an automatism that you then
I like the word.
have within yourself when you play in that position for so many years.
And managing risk, because one thing we haven't mentioned is that you have to be brave, you have to show, you have to be available all the time. But way in the back of your mind, you recognise that if you make the mistake,
well, you see, I never thought about that, about if I lose the ball, because then maybe I would have not have the courage to demand the ball. I was always demanding, but I always wanted the ball. And obviously, you know, you make mistakes, but I never thought I would make a mistake.
So when Rijkaard, as Barca coach, says to Xavi, I don't like you sitting as they called it then the 4 in the Barca system. The 4 is in front of the defence. He inherited the jersey from Pep Guardiola and moved on. And Xavi was good at it. But when I arrived in Barcelona, Pérez Fargual, the general manager of Barcelona, is trying to sell Xavi with the words like, he has no marketing cachet, we're in a losing era, he's part of it, let's move him. It's a big mistake, general managers make mistakes. But when Rijkaard, after 14, 16 months of seeing Xavi, says, I'm going to put a holding midfield in there, a bigger guy, so Rijkaard had his own ideas, and you're going to play here, the 6, and you're going to attack, and you're going to open, and the responsibility, and it's the identical change you made from the Lazio Robbie to the Chelsea. Xavi said, he told Rijkaard, I don't think I can do it. Xavi, maybe in the top 2 greatest Spanish players, he said, I can't do it. Rijkaard said, I'll show you, you will, and he did. Was there any doubt when you changed position for Ruud?
No, I didn't have any doubt, to be honest. I had nothing to lose, to be quite honest. You know, I knew I could play the other position. So for me to have a bit more freedom going forward, over the years I watched, obviously, you know, my teammates, you know, having the right tempo, the right timing to go into the box and so on. And I had a good kick from outside the box that I could use as well. So I scored a few goals like that. And it worked for the team because, you know, I had Eddie Newton or Dennis Wise, and they were doing a little bit more of the defensive side, and we would alternate as well sometimes. You know, it wasn't just always me. So he worked at the formula that he worked out for the team, Ruud, with the players that we had worked
for you. And that first time that brilliant shot from outside the box was evidence that Chelsea, or at least in competitive footbing, was poor old Middelsbrough suffered under. Did you just as a little side?
Nothing personal.
Definitely nothing in the past.
I think it's just unfortunate.
Yeah. Okay. People in Teesside aren't believing you. So it's the league game. Of all the times you broke Middlesbrough hearts, it's the league game. The goal is good. The goal is struck from your right foot. It goes the keeper's bottom right hand corner. It's buried in the building site end of Stamford Bridge, which is another little strange thing you came to from the Olympic Stadium. But then you have to accept that one of the things that the Premiership and the Premier League has done is it's a big marketing product. We talk about iconography, and an iconic moment happened immediately you scored. It's the first Premiership goal under Ruud Gullit. It's your first blah, 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 blah. And you sit down.
I lay down, basically.
You lay down, sorry, yeah.
Totally improvised,
Yeah.
not rehearsed at all. Don't ask me why I did it. I have no idea why I did it. I think it was just the joy of scoring. It was quite late in the game, so the fact that I scored on the first home game for my new club, it felt good, and I kind of lost my mind a little bit. I did something that I probably would have never thought I actually would do, And no, it wasn't really my gesture, but the reaction of the other 5 or 6 players then actually follow me and laid down next to me and sat down next to me. I think that is the picture that shows that we were a club going somewhere, because there was a really good, strong team spirit, and pointing upwards. They then thought that was like that's the way we go, upwards.
Dennis sits down now. I'd have thought of everybody who lies down next to you. You'd have bet Dennis would probably do it because he's.
I had no idea what was going to happen. I could have been down on my own, and my teammates probably laughing at me. I have no idea.
But to anybody who's played a team sport, to see Dennis, Jody, Frank Leboeuf, Erland Johnson's trying to get on the end as well.
He's in the picture.
Just.
Yeah.
I think I've missed one, but it does it instantly. Says,
Dan Petrescu? I think Dan was there.
Dan, how could I? Dan. It instantly says, unity. You've been there, I don't know, 8 weeks, 9 weeks. Very different personalities and people sitting down on that thing. And instead of, sometimes you see celebrations that look a little bit ostentatious. And I've seen players interrupt other Brazilians dancing. That's disrespectful. I've seen Carlos Puyol hauling Brazilians away, stopped it. Whereas what your celebration did was showed joy, showed team spirit, and it became an emblem for what then happened that season. And you repeated it the next time you scored as well. If I remember, the next time you scored, you did something, you went down on your knees.
Oh,
and then after that, you did a sort of Hollywood pose.
I can't remember really all the games. Actually, we talk about a long time ago now, but it's also credit to the team that we found, the group that we found when we arrived, or me and the other guys from abroad, because they really embraced us, because they could probably see that we were trying to learn the language to fit into the English culture and system, because we were trying very hard to learn English and so on, and so they embraced us, and I think they certainly helped us a lot to get to know the Premier League quicker as well. And we had a great team spirit, and that's probably one of the big reasons why we were so successful as well.
You had fun?
As well, yeah.
Was it a funny group, I mean?
Yeah. I mean, and it started with Gullit, He was obviously, the fact that he was so laid back and lovely boys. He wanted us to have fun by enjoying ourselves, playing football by enjoying ourselves, and we had a good group. We had we had a lot of fun and laughter, and it was good. It was a good time. We had a very good time.
From Switzerland to Wembley, you're sitting there. I didn't know what you were going to say, that the FA Cup was a big event in Switzerland. That you'd watched it with a kind of half. God, that's an interesting event. English football, English weather, and then you end up. Poor old Middelsbrough again, at Wembley in the cup final.
Right.
Tell me, what does it mean? Getting there, the excitement, Wembley. Forgive me, you'd played at Wembley before?
No, that was the first time. It was the first time that I played at Wembley. Well, I mean, the whole week leading to the final, the FA Cup final, was a new experience for me, because obviously you have all the media commitments and so on, and new suit and the song, record the song, and so it was all new and fun and exciting as well.
This is with Suggs, right? Chelsea, Blue Day.
Yeah, and so then you get to the hotel the day before the game, and again it was quite a relaxed atmosphere in our hotel, And again, that's probably because of Ruud, he was just so chilled. So we were quite confident, before the game, because we knew we had a good team, and if we turned up on the day, we had a good chance. So we were quite confident. But not for one single second did I think that I would score a goal. I mean, so we went into the game, and obviously, the quickest goal in the history happened to me, and Dennis Wise, still claims that he made an assist in that final, which, okay, if you do pass a ball in your own half, if you call it an assist, I mean, okay, you can do that. But
I think that's you congratulating him for the quality of his pass, is it? In your own dry way.
Well, it doesn't qualify in the football.
His vision,
as an assist.
the weight of the pass. Come on.
Anyway, so he passes me the ball, and I start running forward, and I saw Mark Hughes in front of me making a movement, and I'm thinking, no, I'm not going to give it to Mark Hughes. He's just going to lose the ball or whatever. So I just pulled the trigger, and luckily the ball dipped a little bit. The goalkeeper was a bit in front of the goal line, and it was a great start to this final for us, and it certainly gave us even more confidence, and it settled a bit the nerves, because it was a fun. It was important, winning that. Would mean playing in European competition this season after, finishing the year with a trophy after 25 years for the club. So quite important, actually very important.
Even though you weren't super nervous and it was a relaxed group and you were confident strategically against Middelsbrough, you were aware of the weight of expectation from fans who hadn't seen a trophy for a quarter of a century. That at least.
I was used to it because I played in Italy, so the Roman derbies and the games in Italy. The weight
Chelsea
of expectation
Middlesbrough is okay in terms of pressure.
No, you get used to it. I was 20. By that time I was still 26, just about to turn 27. But you get used to it. You don't think about that anymore.
But around you there would have been nerves.
Yes, quite a bit of nerves.
The English players, for example. Wembley would have meant, as special as it was for you, who'd seen it as a kid in Switzerland. I didn't know that. For them, it must have been. If you talk about the goal taking away nerves, you're talking more about your teammates than you.
Yeah, the team. I mean, as a group, as a team. Yeah, obviously, it was a great start. Early goal in the final, it sets you up, for a good. For a high probability of winning the game.
Can you close your eyes? Can you feel the euphoria? Can you remember the feeling?
Oh yes. I mean, I lost my mind for like 10 seconds when I started running like a rabbit, like a crazy man. And you can see, obviously, everybody was full of joy. The stadium was rocking. It was incredible.
How did you celebrate at the end? Who feels best? Who do you remember singing, crying, champagne or beer? What is the aftermath like? Was there celery involved?
I don't know, I was very happy for, again, I was very, I don't know, I'm a bit unselfish in that way, but I was happy for the team, I was happy for the club, for the chairman, because they believed in me, for the manager, also because we could play in the European competition the next season, and again in the dinner after the FA Cup final in the hotel, it was such a great environment, everybody, it just felt like a big family, it was that kind of environment, that kind of feeling.
One of the happiest sporting moments of your life?
Absolutely, yes.
At that stage, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I won the championship in Switzerland as well. That was a great year as well.
We have to be respectful of your time, so I'm going to skip a lot.
Don't skip. No, don't skip.
Well, we have to get to winning the Champions League. That's something that we need to talk about. But at Chelsea, one of the things that stands out for me is that you go on to win trophy after trophy. Ruud goes because Ruud goes in his own way. I remember there's a little metaphor in that later as a manager, you'll take over in a kind of difficult situation in the Champions League. At the point at which Luca takes over, the Vicenza game has gone badly in Italy. It's that European progress that you've talked about. You win at Wembley, you go into Europe, you beat Betis, you score against Betis. A good Betis side, coached by Luis Aragonés, who would go on to win 2008 in charge of Spain. I don't think you play in a return leg at the bridge against Vicenza for injury or suspension.
No, I was suspended.
Suspension. But it's going to get you to Stuttgart, coached by Jogi Löw. What is can you retain the moment in which Ruud is gone? It's a huge shock. Luca takes over. The Vicenza game is 1-0. It has to be overturned in order to proceed it's the semi-final of Chelsea's sort of first chance at a final since 1971. And yet, from that day to winning in Stuttgart, it seems explosive. Everybody's confident again. What happened?
What happened?
Yeah. In human terms, in coaching terms.
What happened? Well, I think that we were still playing a little bit roots football. So even though Luca was the manager, but he couldn't change it in such a quick time or turn it over. But it was a shock to the team when Ruud was sacked.
Shock to us.
It was very much liked by most of the team members. We weren't expected to lose in Italy. We didn't really expect to lose there. We thought we were a good team, a strong team, and we could get a result there. But somehow they had a great day, and we probably didn't have such a good day. And so you find yourself overturning a 1-0, and it wasn't easy because they were well drilled, well organized. They didn't have individually very good players, but as a group they were very good. And they were very well organized, so we had to dig very deep. And again, that's where the spirit came out of that group, with the players. And at some point during the game, the tactical aspect of the game was just completely lost. It was just sheer emotions and drive and motivation and ambition to make the final, which got us to the final, and.
Because the bridge that night was a volcano.
Oh, it was. And watch it I couldn't bear watching it.
Where were you? In the centre stand?
I'll tell you what. At some point during the second half, I couldn't bear watching it anymore. I left.
Literally?
I left. So nobody knows this, I think. I don't think I've ever told this, but I actually left and started to walk home. Because I was kind of heartbroken that we wouldn't reach.
That it was going to go away.
Yeah, it was because it looked like, I think it was 1-1 at that time.
Yeah,
they had scored the equaliser.
Yeah,
1-1. So we needed to score another 2 goals, and there wasn't much time left. So I couldn't bear it anymore. So I started walking home because I needed to be on my own. And then somewhere down the Fulham Road, I heard the roar, the 2-1, and I'm thinking, oof. 2-1. I'm thinking, so I'm thinking. So I keep walking, and I didn't hear, because I was so far away by that time. I didn't hear the roar of the 3-1. So I'm thinking, we won 2-1, but we're out of it. So by the time I got home, which it took me probably like half an hour, 25 minutes. By the time I got home, switched on the TV, I saw all the celebration.
Mark Hughes, 76th minute for 3-1.
It was,
and you're in the final.
And we're in the final.
I bet you're not a superstitious person. I bet you don't think that by leaving you kind of influenced the fate of things.
No, I just couldn't watch it anymore. I couldn't bear it.
Is that a little bit out of character to feel so nervous or upset? That doesn't seem like you.
There was a mixture of feelings. Everything probably. Disappointment. The fact that I was suspended.
Yeah.
The fact that you couldn't do nothing.
You couldn't influence it, of course.
You couldn't do nothing about it. The fact that, you were so close to a final and all these factors put together just made me leave. Which was really unusual. I'm normally always, part of the group, and I don't really know why I did it, but I did it, and I was very happy when I found out that we made it.
And you go to Sweden for the final. Again, I went to report that. It was a controversial game from the beginning because the manager puts Zola on the bench, and I guess Graham note, Roberto smiles with Sphinx like. Luca had already was about to become quite controversial amongst his Italian colleagues and friends because Luca is Luca. And
that would have been a great question to put to Gianfranco. I wish he was sitting right here, right now, when you're going to ask that question you're going to ask.
Well, number one, let me box clever. Would it be normally unusual for high-level players to look at a final of a European competition and find that Gianfranco Zola is on the bench?
Well, to be fair, Gianfranco was injured for a couple of weeks before the final, and he tried his utmost best to recover for the final. And He did recover, but it would have probably been a little risky or a gamble to put him from the beginning. Personally, I'm not sure, but don't know whether he would have lasted the whole game. So Luca left him on the bench, and I think ultimately it was the right move because he came on and scored the winning goal.
He comes on and scores the winning goal within, I don't know, 30 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds.
Minutes,
he does a Zola. He does what a magical man can do. I think it hurt him very much that he didn't begin in the final.
It did, yes.
Yeah. Because there's something that we need to communicate. This is not... Luke has been a guest on this. Luke still treats me as if not a friend and with respect. So there's no hint of criticism. But I think that people who haven't played at your level or managed at your level don't understand that for elite players, it's not simply enough to score the winner and lift the trophy. There is something about being named in the starting 11 and scoring the winner. And, for example, I like comparisons, discard it if you want, but Iniesta comes on, turns the 2006 Champions League final, but until he wins it himself starting 3 years later, he bears the scar and talks about the scar of, it doesn't matter that he came on and turned a 1-0 to a 2-1 and lifted the trophy. It burned him that he wasn't picked from the start. And I think Gianfranco probably felt something about, I don't know, the helplessness of the first 71 minutes.
I can confirm that, yes, of course. It really hurt him a lot because he wanted obviously to start from the beginning, being that, in the picture you do before the game and being named in the lineup and so on. And it's painful. It's painful, but somewhere up there is some kind of justice, and it was meant to be that he had to come on and score the winning goal and be, the player that helped us get the trophy.
Stuttgart now are struggling and have been for a long time, but in players like Thomas Berthold, for example, Murat Yakin, Balakov, who my memory says was a very good player, Poschner, Freddy Bobic, Akpabori was a shooting star for a while and very fast, but managed by a guy who's gone on to do things quite well subsequently, and Joachim Low. What were they like as cup final opponents?
Oh, they were very good. I think they had a really good season in Germany as well, in the Bundesliga that year. And I don't know if you know, Graham, but Joachim Low is a friend of mine.
I didn't know.
You see, you didn't know. We played together in Switzerland.
No.
In the little town of Schaffhausen, where I grew up.
Yes.
We played together in that team for, I think, a couple of seasons. 2 seasons.
That is a shock. I like being surprised, but that is a surprise.
So, we were former teammates when we met in the final in Stockholm, and he took over the manager's job in Stuttgart from my former teammate and manager of the team Aarau, where we won the championship with in Switzerland. He took him as assistant manager to Germany with him, Joachim Löw. Rolf Fringer is his name.
Rolf Fringer, okay.
Yeah, he took him to Stuttgart. And
Rolf Fringer was also at Schaffhausen.
Yeah. And then Joachim Löw took over because he went to coach in the national team, Rolf Fringer.
These are the days of Hertzler, Stoll, Og, Bossi, Bear, Meyer, Joachim Löw, Egli, Roberto Di Matteo, Axel Thoma, Engesser, managed by Rolf Fringer.
Yeah.
I thought I did my research properly, but
you see,
you caught me out.
So it was nice to see him again, and we won, and that was another step, for the club. And there was.
How do you two handle friendships in a cup final? Was there kind of hello?
Yes. Hello, how are you? Yeah, everything okay.
That's enough.
See you later.
See you after. Yeah. And therefore, I mean, without diverting too much, because I'm obsessed by the thing that you've done that has shocked and amazed me most of all, with pleasure. When he wins the World Cup, when you see Joachim Löw help convert German football, not alone, but bringing concepts that he believes in that not all of the German football public believe in, a merger of the things that you would believe in normally in Germany with a nod to the best Spanish technique, with possession in terms of putting a premium on skill and technique ahead of perhaps sometimes physique. He has definitely been one of the architects of change.
Yeah, I mean,
he wins the World Cup, and he's your ex-teammate and friend.
He was a technically gifted midfield player. He was, and so he was a player that always liked to play between the lines, and he wanted the ball on his feet, and he wanted a passing team. And this was a little bit given to us from our manager back in Switzerland. And so his philosophy was always like that, passing the ball between the lines, one touch, two touch, movement, and so on. And certainly he was influential and a big part of changing the cultural element of German football, because obviously, as you say, you look at the German team today playing, and they resemble a little bit of a Spanish team, really. Technically gifted, comfortable on the ball, really dominating possession, playing up from the back, and everything.
That's a happy thing to know. It's happy. It's good to see it. Maybe it'll be you winning a World Cup as a manager one day, but for the meantime, a friend doing it isn't bad to watch.
Oh, of course. I mean, Schaffhausen is a very small place. It's in Switzerland, Schaffhausen, where I grew up. So, you're very close with each other. And again, we had a really good team group.
Then explain to me the miracle thing, because you, as a manager, you have notable success. MK Dons, West Brom, you're a clear influence, even as assistant manager at Chelsea in the development of the team. You get given the opportunity to take over, but in a situation which, again, correct me if I'm wrong, which has some similarities to the Vicenza moment, in that it's mid-season, the result in Napoli, the result against a team which I think played, in the San Paolo Stadium, a game maybe to win, maybe even more firmly in the first leg, and you take over, and again it feels like everything changes, and every single thing in terms of morale, attitude, crucial goals, spirit, winning mentality, seems from then until the end of the season to surge. Now, is that romantic? Is it true? Explain it from the beginning. What did you do? What happened?
Well, there's one aspect that I would like to explain, is that even big players or big athletes or top athletes, let's say top athletes, when they certainly don't have that kind of success that they used to, they lose confidence like everybody else. And so certainly there was a lack of confidence, at that moment of time, because the team was not doing great in the league, Champions League, okay. I mean,
good until the Naples game.
Yes,
good.
Exactly. Qualified and everything. And credit to AVB, because he brought the team to that stage. Mm-hmm. He brought the team to that stage, and so it was just a question of building. When you play with the Lego, the toys, Lego toys. Yeah, you just put one on top of the other, and you build a wall. So it was a question of just next game, try and win it. Build some confidence up for the game after that. The game after that, try and win again. Involve everybody in the group, make everybody feel that they are part of the group, that they're important for the group, which ultimately was probably one of the secrets for success, because later on in the season, we had obviously injuries, suspension and so on. So, and also making them believe that they had a real opportunity to win it, because there wasn't many years left in some of the players in that group, because they had been there, some of them had been there 9 years, 8 years, 7 years, so for a long time, and it was kind of a generation that had probably had the last chance to win something big. Mm-hmm. And so that was also an objective for many of them, that they were thinking, I asked you how many more times do you think you will have an opportunity like this to win this kind of competition? And there were a number of them that probably thought, this might be the last time that I could be involved in something like this. So that helped as well. But it was just trying to build a cohesive team, a group that were, supporting each other, fighting for each other. It was a very difficult dressing room, Graham. I can tell you. I mean, it was difficult for AVP and me as an assistant, and it was a difficult dressing room after
I'd suggest not because necessarily of bad behaviour, but of intensely strong characters.
Yeah,
Is that the right?
some of the personalities were very, very strong, and also they had been there for many, many years. So, they obviously acquired some kind of maybe they.
This is my club.
Privilege, maybe, yes, or
the owner
or power, maybe.
The owner treats some of them differently.
Power. Well, I mean that's a cliche, whether that's true or not. I can't confirm or deny that.
But it's hard to manage because of this cocktail of intense characters, winners, been there a long time. They feel perhaps a sense of possession and how things should be done that might not be just right for just that moment.
Yeah, it wasn't an easy dressing room. I mean, that was one of the most difficult dressing rooms I've ever experienced as a player and as a manager. Very difficult. But on the other hand, those strong characters helped in those strategic moments.
Once you harnessed them or changed their vista. Because I expected to sit here, or one of the things I've noticed about you from playing into management is that your football brain is very good. Some players get given gifted physiques or brilliant lungs, or they can just do it without thinking about it. I've noticed, and it's clear this isn't flattery, that your football brain works very, very well. Therefore, I look to think about the turnaround perhaps being about strategy or a change in the team shape or whatever. But as human beings, we live to communicate. So when you communicate as a leader with a difficult group and the message goes in and they change their performance, that's even more satisfying.
Yeah, we obviously changed a few things as well, because obviously, not that I disagreed with Andrea. I thought that AVB, it was an absolute pleasure, and I was very lucky to work with AVB because I learned a lot from him as well, in the way he coaches, in the way he prepares games, and so on. So. And I gave him a lot of credit, and it was a very difficult time for Chelsea at that time because there was this transition period where, there was this generation that was coming towards an end of an era, and they needed to be changed, and so he came to London or to Chelsea at a difficult time. And saying that, we changed a little bit, the shape of the team, and included some different players and made everybody feel important.
Who did you give more game time to?
Well, probably, Salomon Kalou maybe wasn't as much involved before. Ryan Bertrand. But a bit everybody, because at the end of the day we were playing so many games, every 3 days. So made a few changes, rotated the team around, and everybody, you can name it. I mean,
it's very unusual for any Italian team to win 3-1 and go away and then get knocked out of Europe, particularly if they include players like Maggio, for example, Cannavaro, the younger, Hamšík, Inler, Cavani, Lavezzi, coached by Walter Mazzari. When in 105 minutes Ivanovic gets the winner, is the joy of the cup final goal against Middelsbrough or the Ivanovic winner greater, if you weigh it back in your mind for you?
Well, two different kind of happiness, if I may say, but certainly it was a delirium in my head because not only it did allow us to go further in that competition, but I also knew that it would help to manage this group of players further, a little bit easier, because getting knocked out would have meant that it was going to be very, very difficult. So keeping the dream alive, knowing that you have a chance, believing that you can do it, because that game really gave us the belief. Turning a 3-1 deficit around against Napoli at home gave us so much belief that we were on the right track.
And then Benfica, you went away, and again, I'm now, because of time, not talking so much about the tactics and the strategy, but I think people forget, because of the drama of the next 3 games, that when Javi Garcia scores with 5 minutes left, one more goal.
They needed one goal, yeah.
One more, those are fun. I mean, in the end, Mireles.
Oh, what a goal. What a goal.
Whoa, hit it. Well, that's a Di Matteo strike I've just seen there.
What a goal did he score.
But for those 5.5 minutes,
Yeah, it was a little bit tense.
You didn't leave the stadium and walk down Fulham Broadway again?
I did not, but it was, but you expect it, when you're in so the quarterfinal, when you're involved, they're only good teams, and you expect it to go to the last wire, unless, you can win one of the legs, 2, 3, 4, or even the 3-0 or 4-0, as history shows us, sometimes not enough.
Sometimes.
So you expect to have a tense game, but, we scored early, and then they were reduced to 10 men. But when he came up and scored the equaliser, I was very happy for Raúl to score that second goal, and what a goal he scored as well.
The one I want to pick your brain about a little is the next game at the Bridge, where you beat Barcelona 1-0. And I remember when we talked on the phone, you kind of gave a little smile or a little laugh when I mentioned, just before the goal is scored, Lampard robs Messi. And I'd seen Xavi being targeted by Mourinho's Madrid when Xavi was the strength and was at his peak still. And Mourinho's Madrid said, okay, let's try and turn the strength into a weakness. Let's target him and see if we go 2 on or 3 on and we press. One time we'll rob him. And when Mourinho won some of those classical battles, that worked. So I'm asking you straight, because you're a very straight talker. Was it complete fluke that when Messi drops deep at the Bridge and is trying a little flick in the wrong area, almost in the organising midfielder player role, because he's so deep, and Frank robs the ball and the goal comes from it? Practiced, strategy, videos, pure luck? Which?
Well, it was a good execution of a strategy. I watched 10 videos probably of Barcelona against all sorts of opposition with all different strategies, teams playing all over the pitch, man marking, man-to-man marking, people or oppositions playing with a man mark against Messi, opposition defending deep in their own half of the last 35 yards, opposition pressing high in the middle. So I watched it all, and you know what the ultimate result was of those games?
They all lost.
They all lost. Barcelona won all of those games. So you're in the office and you're scratching your head, with your stuff, and you're thinking, bloody hell, so what are we going to do? So obviously, Messi is not a normal player. He's an exceptional player. So you need to have a strategy to minimize his impact on the game. So we knew he was playing in that area of the pitch. So we congested that area there, and we said, look, whenever possible, we need to double up, because he was involved in 75% or 76% of the goals of Barcelona, the ones they scored plus the assists. So we need to do that. And the other one was that whenever we recover the ball, Alves is going to be up the pitch. Mm-hmm. So I said, whenever we can, let's exploit their right side, our left side, or their right side. Mm-hmm. Let's exploit it, because there's going to be space. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly how the goal developed. Frank recovered the ball, Ramirez went down the left, crossed it in, and Drogba scored.
Ramirez becomes an extraordinary player over those 2 games, in terms of just about everything he does is not just right, he's brilliant, genuinely. Yeah. Before we leave the Bridge, I'm on a theme here, which you've knocked away a couple of times, but how many times in your life as a coach or a manager have you had so many lives? Because as well as Chelsea play, Barcelona make chance after chance after chance after chance. And
at the Nou Camp?
No, at the Bridge.
At the Bridge, yeah, they had a few chances.
They had a few chances. Now, your team plays well, it's organised, some of the things are cleared off the line, some of them are saves, but they also conjure up lots of ways to hit the woodwork or miss. It's as good as Chelsea are, and as much as they deserve to go through over the 2 games, that was something strange that night.
Well,
or
strange.
Not.
You can minimize. You cannot completely cancel or stop the Barcelona team completely. So we knew that they were going to have. We all knew that they were going to have some chances then, and a little bit of that is that maybe on the day they maybe would hit the post, or they would maybe mishit it and it would go wide. But it was impossible against that team to not concede any chances. Mm-hmm. It was just impossible.
So you go to the Camp Nou with the full expectation that with a team as good as yours and characters as good as yours, that 1-0 is a position that you can win from, you can go through.
Yeah, but we knew that it wasn't enough because as a player I experienced winning at home against Barcelona 3-1 and then going to the Nou Camp and getting hammered.
That was an early Champions League experience for Chelsea, maybe the first. But the learning difference between those two games, where for 80% of the game Chelsea matches that Van Gaal Barcelona, at least matches it, to this game where the mentality's changed, the experience has changed, the winners, the tough guys who are difficult to control but can also go and win you things, that's changed in your favour too. And then John kicked somebody.
I didn't even see it because I was looking at what was happening on the pitch. And suddenly Alexis Sanchez is on the floor and what happened? So you see the red card. And it's what at that point we're 1-0 down. And you're thinking, okay, 1-0 down to 10 men. Well, we could get 7 here, you know. But there was such a great reaction. There was such a great reaction by the team. I mean, obviously they then I think they scored 4 or 5 minutes after that. They scored the second goal, and you think, oh,
comes to Iniesta. It's a nice pass to there's the hold
on the left,
the release to Iniesta. He slides it perfectly.
2-0.
It looks kind of clinical. The imagination tells you, well, that's 10 men. Barca are on the rise. They're going to do everything right, and therefore it could be 2-3. And that's a false picture.
And you think, oh, but then after that goal, there was the great. I mean, not just after sending off, there was a great reaction. But so we can see the second goal. And by that time, you think, might be a little bit of trouble here. But there was such a great belief within that team, that group, the players, that there was a never die attitude. And then, Frank Lampard reverse pass into Ramirez, who by then was playing right back.
But he was playing right back to win the ball. When Iniesta comes into a bad position at centre forward and Piqué's going off and the balance is all wrong, when you win the speed of thought, and you talked about automatismos, doing things automatically as the controlling player. When the ball is won so brilliantly and it's moved immediately to Ramirez, who sees a channel and runs, but about 6 seconds before he gives the ball to Lampard, he knows he's playing a 1-2. It was beauty in motion. It was phenomenal, that move.
Yeah, I mean, the pass of of Frank was incredible. I mean,
genius.
It was a reverse pass into the path of Ramirez. And also, I mean, who would have expected Ramirez to chip the goalkeeper? I mean, he's normally not that sort of player.
Do you like golf? It was a Masters Sunday out of the
from
bunker.
Outside the box, he chipped the goalkeeper, and then you're 2-1, and it's like, oh, game on, here we go. So half time it's like, there's a lot of going on because we're down to 10 men and so on. And so I said, guys, do you know which team is in the final right now? I said, it's you, it's us. I said, so we just have to hold out 45 minutes. No, it wasn't just like that, but more or less, that was the mindset. We need to play 45 minutes. It's going to be hard. Yeah, we know that. Made a few tactical adjustments, obviously, because we were down to 10 men, and obviously they missed the penalty, but.
A little bit of, you talked about justice up there. It probably wasn't a penalty, I think.
It was
50-50.
It was harsh, but it was, the referee gave it at the end. It was harsh, but the referee gave it at the end. And
did you practice
it's not our
penalties?
It's not our fault that they missed it, by the way.
Because he's never scored against Chelsea. It's Czech. Yeah. Did you do video? Did Czech of
Peter Cech is the true professional that you can have. I mean, not just in that game, but before every game, he would prepare himself with videos of the opposition's player that would play the free kicks, the corner kicks, the penalties. So he would prepare himself. With the goalkeeping coach, we the team was very well prepared in every attention. I mean, we had a lot of attention to details in every sense of the way. But they missed it. It's the onus is obviously on the player. He's got everything to lose, and the keeper's everything to win. And It's not our fault.
And as Dennis rightly still claims to assist it. I think you've been brutal about him so far. Can I say then that the modern Dennis Wise is Ashley Cole? Because that's one of the finest long passes that I've ever seen. Now you have to admit that was presumably planned.
Was well rehearsed in training.
Exactly. We could see it, and even from high up in the camp, now we could see Ashley going, "All yours, Nino."
But you know what? There was, on the bench. I'm telling you, in the second half on the bench, there was a sense of, we're not going to concede. They were coming wave after wave, but we were so well organized, and there was such a commitment and also togetherness. And of course, it's impossible to keep them on bay, and especially with the Camp Nou with a man less. But the sense of the bench was, we're not going to concede here. They have to work really hard to score a goal here. We're not going to. It just felt really comfortable, and not comfortable. We felt good. We felt confident. And the time was like passing by, and then Fernando Torres turned up and finished it off.
What he used to do for Atleti at the Camp Nou. He always used to go there, bully Puyol. He dances around Valdez. It's 2-2, and I don't know. Can you remember what you did, what it felt like? Because at that stage, you're through.
I was jumping like a madman. I was jumping up and down the sideline. I was jumping. I was happy.
But it was sweet.
Oh, it was very sweet.
And the tiny parenthesis is football's a brutal game. The Friday after that game, Pep Guardiola takes the press conference, says, I'm quitting at the end of the season, that's enough, I'm out. You couldn't afford even a blink of the moment in time, the history you'd caused, the fact that the Barcelona era was ending, not solely because of that defeat, but it was happening while you were coming down over the next 48 hours. Was it just irrelevant to you? You never even noticed that Guardiola on the Friday said, at the end of the season, I'm out? Or
no, of course. I mean, he's somebody I regard very highly in our profession, and especially because he's a great person. First of all, I admire him because he's such a great person, and the way he sees football is a role model for so many of us, and for me as well. And we had a conversation obviously after the game, and then obviously, of course, I took notice of the fact that after, I think it was 4 years, wasn't it? After 4 years,
it was
4 years. Yeah, he kind of felt he needed a break, and he needed maybe some time to recover his energy, because it is draining, when you're a manager, and especially in a big club. It's very demanding. Your private life suffers. It's a great job, but you have to make sacrifices and prioritize. And when you're in a manager's job, it's a 24/7. That's not a cliche. It absorbs you completely, and your loved ones. They probably don't get much off you in that time. So I could completely understand his decision, and what he achieved in that short period of time. I don't know if anybody will ever be able to replicate that.
It's clear your admiration is clear, and irrespective of any club colours, for the benefit of the game that we love,
yes,
he's elevated, he's changed people's thinking, and people will pick ideas from, and his players will come up and coach in due course, and football gets richer and better and more nourished. And so we finished with literally one of the most incredible. I was reporting in '99 the end of the treble for Manchester United. I thought, okay, that's a bit of a night. That's quite dramatic. Istanbul, you kind of think, well, is that more 3-0 down and then you win, and Tudek does what he does, and this is at least in there. You go to Munich off the back of some difficult domestic results, Newcastle, Liverpool. There's John Terry's suspension.
Well, he wasn't the only one. We had 4 players suspended, because after the semi-final we had Ivanovic suspended, John Terry, Raúl Meireles, and Ramirez.
and you have a full-back issue right until, I don't know, maybe the morning of the game about deciding whether or not to trust Ryan Bertrand.
Oh, we had so many issues, Graham. I don't know. I don't think we have enough time to talk about all the issues. No, we had David Luiz and Graham and Gary Cahill. They were injured. They were injured like before 4 or 5 weeks before the final. They got injured. So they were like in doubt if they were going to make the final. So we didn't know till the morning of the game, whether they could make it, they could play or not. And because obviously Ivanovic was suspended, John Terry was suspended, so I kind of prepared two teams. One if those two players could play and were available, and one if they couldn't play, then we would play in this way. So it was
presumably if they don't play, Oriol Romeo maybe gets a game in midfield and somebody drops back into centre defence. And
well, we were numbered because obviously the full suspension. Then everybody else was involved. I mean, there weren't many players left.
And you amongst your many languages is German, and other people made a fuss of the fantastic tifo, because the final for anybody who's been on Mars since then is at Bayern Munich Stadium. The
Allianz.
Your rival is a very little known team called Bayern Munich. Now tifo is the fan display, which we don't do so much in this country, but is very big in the continent, and it says Unsere Stadion, unsere Stadt,
Unser Pokal.
Unser Pokal, which for anybody who doesn't speak German says our stadium, our city,
our trophy.
Our trophy.
Yeah.
Did that help anybody at all in your team?
No, obviously I saw it, I understood it, and it was a home game from there. They were playing the stadiums. Obviously, they had their dressing room, and it was, even though half of the stadium was blue with Chelsea supporters. Yeah, but it felt a little bit like a home game for them. It did. Yeah. So
what do you tell the team before they go out that's different from do your best, lads?
I said, lovely boys, go out and enjoy yourself.
You're a very brave man. Thank you, Ruud Gullit.
No,
thank you, Windsor Davis.
Well, that's again we had a good week leading up to the final to prepare the game, because obviously we had these two defenders that couldn't really. They trained a little bit, not fully till maybe it was. And I was trying to find, the right balance for the team, because obviously Ramirez was suspended, Raul Meireles was suspended. So I was trying on the left side, how to play on the left side in front of Ashley Cole, to see what's best for the team and so on. So it was quite a good week leading up to the final. We knew there were, probably Bayern was the favourite because the way they got to the final, and they were playing, we were playing the Allianz Arena.
I don't think they had a major absence, maybe one. So they were.
I think they had a couple. No, they had a couple as well, two or three maybe.
They're not far from full strength. They're close to full strength. But, it's Neuer.
But they won the German title.
The titles out of sight, yeah. And they play Neuer, Boateng, Lahm, Contento, Ribéry, Schweinsteiger, Kroos, Timoshuk, who's one hell of a footballer, Arjen Robben, Thomas Muller, Mario Gomez is their starting lineup, which is not bad. Jupp Heynckes is going to go on and win them the treble. It's really even until Muller scores with that. A goal that must have been horrible to watch, because although the technique is good as he heads it down, he gets a little bit more space and room than he might have wanted, and it goes down and up in front of you. A very tall, very good goalkeeper, and you kind of think, even though that's difficult, you kind of think, maybe a touch, and it goes into the roof of the net, and there is, how long left? 7-8 minutes left? I can't remember.
Oh, yeah.
He scores in 83.
Yeah, even less, yeah.
And at that point, there's nothing a manager can do, right? Or is there?
Well, I think I put Torres on, didn't I?
You did?
I put Torres on the... And yeah, I mean, you there's not much time left there, so you try not to concede the second and to try to equalise. And the set piece obviously was a good chance for us, with the players.
So Torres wins the set piece. Torres, it's a corner. Torres wins the corner.
On the right side, he wins the corner.
Mata takes it.
So
it's really a Spanish victory, without being
absolutely
rude. I've heard about this talked about so many times.
You know what's funny again, or what's strange about it is that when they scored, And that was quite late on in the game as well. There was never the feeling that we would lose the game. I just never felt that we were going to lose the game. That was the confidence that I had with the players and the group, and I never felt this is not over.
It's not gone.
Yeah, it's not over yet. And so Didier turns up.
You're going to be proven right, but
yeah, nobody knows.
When the header got,
that was the feeling.
I've seen a header that made me more happy because Aberdeen win the Cup Winners' Cup, my team, against Real Madrid, thanks to John Hewitt's header in extra time. So that's the header that made me happiest in my life. But I'll say to you now, and I'll say to anybody again, I won't change this, that's the best header I've ever seen. Mata's corner, there's a crowd of players, he's going the wrong way. It comes off his head as if it's rocket powered. He's very good in the air, he's very big, he likes scoring headed goals. Okay, I've never seen a headed goal like that in my life. It shouldn't have been possible. The direction and velocity at that stage of a match, it's my most incredible headed goal I've ever seen in my life.
Well, it was pretty important, I would say.
It was very important, yeah.
Yes.
But technically?
Yeah, technically very good. I mean, with Didier Drogba, you knew as a manager, and the team knew that if Didier was on the pitch, the chances or the percentage of winning was much higher than when he wasn't, with him. So that was the kind of player he was, and it was supposed to be him, but it was a great header. I mean, the power that he put on the header was incredible.
I love your
against
phrase.
Neuer as well.
Against Neuer, it was supposed to be him. That's the first time spirituality has entered into this conversation. I like that because I was fishing for that, and therefore it means that it was meant too that Didier would give away a penalty. Where it wasn't even a foul. It was.
Well,
what the hell?
I think it did catch him a little bit.
Yeah, but I mean, he wasn't even trying to make a foul. He just kind of went like, as if it was like a schoolboy trick. I'll trip him up in the corridor.
Yeah, I don't know whether it was tiredness or whatever it was, but it probably, it probably was a penalty.
Sure.
It did catch
him.
Sure,
it was.
Actually, he had to go. He had to get off. He had to come off.
And it's hard to understand because he lies there.
Think, no extra time, no penalty, no.
But now what you're going to tell me is because Peter Cech's so good and because things were meant, you knew he was going to save it, right? Or what?
Well, Peter Cech did his homework in that game as well. Mm-hmm. He did his homework. He knew, who the penalty takers were, because obviously this kind of games can go obviously to extra time and penalty. So, we prepared the game very well, and he was very well prepared. And of course, it's a bit of a lottery penalty, not just in the game but after as well. So
when it goes to that lottery, how do you control it? Because I've been fortunate with Spain. I've seen people saying, right, I want to take one, rip up the order. The order is important. I've seen Cesc changing his mind in the middle of a penalty, and I've seen Iker Casillas saying, leave me alone, don't tell me anything about it. So did you choose your list beforehand? How did you choose it? Do you care that Fernando Torres was very annoyed that he didn't get one?
Graham, which one are the penalty, which one are the better penalty takes, them because they take them during the season, but also, in training and watch, we practice them as well, in the week leading up to it. You can never replicate the exact tension that you will have or pressure that you will find in the penalty shootout, but you do practice them. And as a manager which one that you can probably rely on to be a little bit less nervous, because everybody will be nervous, but less nervous in those circumstances. So I left Juan Mata on the pitch because I thought he was going to be a penalty take, and I'm thinking he was kind of half limping, and
I interviewed him in the dressing room afterwards with the cup, and he couldn't walk down the stairs. Yeah. Could not bend his legs. I mean, literally couldn't walk.
And and I'm thinking, there was 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes left. No, there was more than that. But you're thinking, we need him. He's a penalty taker. There weren't many left. So you leave him on the pitch, and then you get to go. You do your list and your order, and so you want to have a good start.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Juan Mata, you take the first one, and then it was kind of okay. Didier, I want to take the fifth. Okay, I think Frank wanted to take maybe a different one, and then he said, no, I want to take number so and so. And you listen to that because
you give room to.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that.
You listen to that because it means they are comfortable to take the first one. They are comfortable or confident to take the second one, the third one, and then it's a little bit of luck, a bit of preparation, a bit of coolness, whatever you want to call it, experience. They've been in the final before. Some of those Chelsea players
and gone to penalties.
They lost in penalties. So. A bit of everything, I guess. There are a lot of factors that are probably involved in then winning the penalty shootout.
So you've influenced the win in that moment by listening, which is something that not all people are willing to do, particularly under pressure. And therefore, as we finish, special credit, it never gets talked about David Luiz because, Juan has missed, Lam has scored, Gomez has scored. Luiz has only just made the match because of his injury problems.
Yeah, we didn't know whether he was going to last the match either.
And his penalty
was amazing.
Almost takes the net off. I mean, I like that. And that's a signal to everybody else, I guess. Lamps, I was nervous for him because I know him and I like him, but you kind of thought he's going to score. Ashley?
I had a really good connection with Ashley. And I thought, didn't have any doubts.
For sure.
Yeah, I didn't have any doubts with him.
Rod Spiney, Bayern Munich through and through, grows up there, misses, puts his jersey over his head. And what's your night in shining armour? One of the guys who I'd guess caused you to say it was a difficult dressing room because today it can be brilliant and difficult.
It wasn't difficult. It wasn't easy, but it didn't create me any problems. But he wasn't easy, but he's a great man. Before football, he's a great man. And this is what I appreciate about when I today that I'm a coach or manager. That's what I appreciate a lot. I look at the person first because first and foremost we are all people.
Thank you. Yeah.
And then I look at the football player. So I try to work with people that are humble, the people that have ambition, motivation, and they have a spirit of unity or togetherness because it's a team sport, football. And
he scores, more importantly than anything else.
Very important goals as well.
Last kick of his career for Chelsea, it seemed at the time. And the lift, and you go up and you embrace the owner, and I don't know, as a coach, it's a moment you already know, maybe I'll never get better than this. But, you talked about the cost of high pressures. I'm showing a very nice picture to Roberto of him as the manager being interviewed after the game with, I think, your eldest son.
It's my middle son. I have two daughters and one son.
Gazing up at you with a look that must be worth more than the Champions League itself. Is it stupid to ask you to sum up the sense of achievement, the emotions, the confusion, any tears? Probably.
Yes. Oh yes, a lot of tears. Well, I had friends, I'm emotional now, because I had all my family there. My father was there. I had friends from Schaffhausen there. Oh. So a lot of, my mother unfortunately wasn't there, but I had a lot of people that were very important in my life. Yeah. In the stadium and after at the party as well, but friends from Italy and so on. So, and in the dressing room, Ruud came into the dressing room. He was there. We have pictures in the dressing room, and he was kind of sitting there. And big dressing room for the coach as well, for the players and for the coaches. Kind of thinking, what the hell happened last year? A lot of people said to me when I went back as an assistant coach with ABB, they said, "What are you doing? You're a manager. You've already been a proven manager in Premier League." And I, because I think differently to a lot of people, I thought, this is, a lot of people said, this is a step back for you, why are you doing this? I saw it as a step forward, a step for me to improve, a step to me to come out of a bubble again and work with some of the youngest, brightest managers there were in European football. He just came from Porto winning 4 trophies in 1 year, which I don't think ever had
people forget
done
that.
before him. Yeah. And so we had a great relationship, a fantastic relationship, and I would have never thought that I would have stayed after that. It was a kind of okay, well, yes, I finished the season off, and what happened after, it was hard work, But nobody could have expected at the beginning of the season how the last 12 months developed to be. And so, and such is life. As good as it can be, or as bad as it can be sometimes, as good as it can be in other times. And it was a great year.
A great day, a great year. People might be tired of me saying it's a privilege, but I'm excited because, I've heard somebody I admire explain what happened. I've heard you laugh. I've learned, you've taught me, which is always what part of this is about. And we'll leave what happened later and what will happen in the future to the part 2 of the interview, which comes, I don't know, in Spain or in Schaffhausen, I don't know, but it comes next time. Roberto Di Matteo, Champions League winner, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you for the time, Graham.
Privilege and pleasure. The Big Interview is produced by Backpage and me, Graham Hunter. The music you always hear, the music that you love, is Beer Jacket. You can keep up with everything that we do, within reason, by getting on the mailing list at grahamhunter.tv. How many times do I have to tell you? That grahamhunter.tv site is also where you can buy the new updated version of my book, Barca, the Making of the Greatest Team in the World. It's my account of the Guardiola era at the Camp Nou, from 2008 until 2012, plus Tito, Tata, and Adios Johan Cruyff. It is in all good bookshops now, but it does also make a big difference to all of us who've worked on the project if you choose to buy direct at grahamhunter.tv/books. You'll be sure to get the new edition, and you will be helping us to continue producing independent content. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being there. Without you, this would be fun, but a lot less fun. See you soon.